technology into your startup. When we get into the details of incorporating technology, it can be a non-tech company, it can be a tech company, whatever it is. The foundations or the fundamentals of incorporating technology into your startup remains the same. The scale might change. For example, if you're a traditional business, probably you would want to use traditional systems for streamlining your manufacturing process, finance, accounting, supply chain management, HR management, people management, attendance management, stock management, a lot of things. But when you look at a tech company, along with these things, you also have to seriously consider what kind of a product or service are you building and how are you going to manage the technology in your organization. So today we will cover all these aspects in terms of incorporating technology into your startup. So I will talk about the key considerations what you need to look at before starting to utilize technology available, and also I will talk about other ways, easy ways, tough ways to get things started for entrepreneurs who are wanting to just test the bed with their product or idea and then start full time about it. Without ado, let's get in. So the first one is to understand what is technology. I mean, I'm just going from the foundations, but otherwise I know all of us understand what technology is. In terms of the learning process, it's always good to start with the basics, and I'm focusing out there. So what is technology? Technology is nothing but the application of your scientific knowledge for practical purposes. As simple as that. So whatever have the processes been automated, designed, developed, we start incorporating them into our business so that life becomes more easier. For instance, I'm a solopreneur from Studio Navaka perspective, and we have a team with respect to Haplo. So how do I manage my communication? How do I manage all the aspects what I do? So I use a couple of productivity tools which are readily available and start using them to initiate my business. So for example, if I'm talking about the YouTube channel, I use Notion or Obsidian to write down my notes and the scripts and the plan for what I'm doing. I use Xmind to design a mind map of what I'm planning to do over the next 1 week, or for a particular project, what are all the aspects what I need to take care. I use my calendar for scheduling time and all these things. So these are all the tools which are available and which can be used immediately. But when we build Haplo, Haplo is a product and we need more tools for it. For example, communication channels. We need a development platform. We need our servers. We need to ensure the servers are safe and secure. We need to have a leaner process whenever clients come with a new requirement and say, we want this to be incorporated. All these things go into that piece. So there are two different aspects. One is my solopreneur or the consulting arm and the product. So I use technology appropriately, what is required for each of these divisions to manage my time and my services. All right. So what are the kinds of technologies that are available? What you're seeing on the screen are about 15 kinds of technologies which are available. All of us understand these things, and there is nothing new in what you're seeing on the screen. I just, again, as I mentioned, I wanted to ensure that I start with the basics. If, for example, anybody who's novice, who wants to understand what technology is and how I should incorporate, for them to easily get the information from one place rather than going back and doing their research. So 15 kinds of technology, most of it we know: information technology, AI, ML, communication, agri-tech, fintech, robotics, etc., etc. These are all the kinds of technologies which are available, which we can utilize for our product or service. Now, coming back to the foundations of the question, how to incorporate technology into your startup. The most important question you need to answer is how to choose my technology. What should I use? What should I not use? There are loads of options. I'll give you a simple example. For example, today we have a lot of productivity tools. We have Notion, we have Asana, we have Trello, we have Apple ecosystem has their own product management tools. We have a lot of tools. How do I choose? You go and search on YouTube. There are many people who give you comparative analysis between each tool for you to choose. But end of the day, all the videos end with you decide what you want to use. These are the pros and cons of each one, and you decide. So, for example, if you're on the Google ecosystem using Google Docs or Google Forms or anything related to Google becomes much more easier because everything is centralized in one place. But if you ask me, I decide what tool I want to use at what point of time. For example, I was using Notion all this while, but now I'm slowly migrating to Obsidian because Obsidian is giving me a lot more convenience in terms of dual platforms, iOS and Android and Mac and Windows or whatever. All these things can be much more easily used across the platforms. I am for technology which can be used between platforms rather than getting stuck to one platform. That's why I have a huge challenge in terms of writing. I love writing notes. Instead of typing, I love writing. Now, I was using Notability for a long time, but I realized Notability is not existing on Android. So how do I manage these both? So what I started doing is I've moved all my writing notes onto Apple Notes. So everything is in one stroke because most of the time I use my Apple device, I don't want to use an Apple device, but the name Apple device, but I'm on the Mac OS and the iOS ecosystem. So I prefer having them all centralized for convenience purposes. If you move on to Android, there are only few platforms which are apps which allow you to write. So there are a couple of challenges between interoperability between two platforms. But again, it comes back to you. What is your choice? How do you want to use it? That becomes very important. So coming back to how do I choose the appropriate technology? First thing is you need to understand your business. What is required at what point of time? For instance, for communication, I need this. For video conferencing, I need this. Yes, we have options, the in-house options on either or Microsoft or Google. We have Google Meet, we have Teams, all these things are there. But today there are much more efficient channels which are available. Some companies use Slack, some companies use Zoom for video communication. So, but all of them are incorporated into their ecosystem. These are large organizations, but you and me, we are small, we are starting up. So incorporating all these things into one platform might be a tedious process. So we keep everything separate. And at times when we are starting up, it is much more convenient to be on one ecosystem so that everything is centralized. Over a period of time, when you start understanding what your needs are, much better, you through the journey, you know the pros and cons of the platform, what you're using, and then decide which direction you want to go. So first thing is understand your business needs before even choosing, I want to start using Microsoft. Yes, but does your business require a Microsoft ecosystem, or does your business require a Google ecosystem? Convenience, usage, and everything comes into picture. For instance, I've been working with a nonprofit and they have been on Google ecosystem for a long time. However, now when it comes to certain aspects, they want to start using Microsoft. The reason being, when the field guys are on the road, for them, using Google Docs is becoming difficult because it doesn't give an offline mode. Yes, it gives an offline mode, work offline, but not everybody is used to using a lot of technology. They don't know where the options are and things like that. So instead, they're wanting to migrate to Microsoft ecosystem where it gives you standalone applications on either Android or Apple device where they can start writing the notes, and when they come onto the network, it gets synchronized with their account. So there are needs which you have to identify what is important for you and how you want to get that done. The second aspect is the flexibility and scalability. The third is the speed of development. We'll get into details of all these things. The fourth is the long-term maintenance, and fifth is the security compliance. Yes, I have 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. There's a reason why I put 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, all are 2, because the second becomes very important and third becomes the next important. So I wanted you to decide which one is the second for you? The first one remains the same, which is business needs. The second is what you have to identify. Third is what you have to identify. Fourth is what you have to identify. Fifth is what you have to identify. That's why I kept everything as two, and you can choose what has to be two for you. Getting into business needs, what is your product vision? Whom are you targeting? Is it a B2B? Is it a B2C? This is for the tech companies. But for a non-tech company and a traditional company, you need to look at what is the product vision. For example, you're manufacturing a water bottle. You need to focus on what are the filtering systems I'm going to use. What is the differentiator, what I'm going to have with regard to my competition. Those are the things what you need to look for. What is the market fit? How, from a technology standpoint, how are the consumers going to interact with your technology? Is it a mobile app? Is it a web app? How are they going to interact? So that's the market fit. Whereas in a traditional, for example, I'll continue the water bottle example. In any manufacturing industry, you don't need consumers to interact with your technology, but still you need to interact. For example, if you are wanting to give an option for people to buy water bottle from your app, or water from your app, that's you need people to use. So it becomes B2C and it becomes an app. So that's the kind of technology you want to develop. For example, today's water bottles are coming out as smart water bottles. So they come with an app which connects to the water bottle, and whenever you drink, it updates how much water did you drink. So those kind of aspects which you need to get either in a traditional IT company or in a manufacturing process. The last one is the business model. What is the business model? Are you going to generate revenue through the technology, or is technology just a supporting actor? For example, the water bottle, what I mentioned, the smart water bottles, what we are having today, for them, the app is not the revenue generator. They try to sell a couple of other things. You want more lights, or you want more customized, or whatever. You want a more customized report, you can pay for it. You want to get more details, you can get. But predominantly, most of the smart water bottles I've seen, they don't charge you anything. They try to sell you accessories and everything through the consumer app. But that's not the prime revenue model. The prime revenue model is the hard water bottle which they need to sell. So coming back, that's what we need to focus on. What is the business model? If technology is going to be a business model, then the approach is different. If it is not, then the approach is different. So I think you must have got the whole high level plan or high level thought of what I'm talking about here in terms of understanding your business needs. Let's get on to the next point. Scalability and flexibility. These two terms are interchangeable, but what do I mean here? Now, when you want your technology to handle many users, for example, you take any B2C app, you need to look at the scalability part. How many concurrent users can it take? If you are a manufacturing industry and your app is just a supporting to the product what you sell, you need not worry much about scalability, because you're not going to have concurrent users so many. You can have a limit and focus on that limit. But when it comes to a technology, if it's a B2C kind of a segment, you need to manage the scalability. Simple example is your banking applications. All the banking customers have their mobile app. What if 100 people try to log in at the same time? What if 1,000 people want to log in at the same time? What if 100,000 people want to log in at the same time? So you need to look at this kind of a scale. The number of customers are increasing every day for you, the clients, the banking for the bank, and you need to support all these banking needs to them through their mobile app instead of the web app. So scalability becomes very important there. Flexibility is where you are a focused market. For example, you're developing a health tech application for B2C or B2B or whatever. You need to be more flexible because the rules keep changing or the law might change, and you need to play it according to them. So you need to ensure that you're building the platform in such a way that it is more flexible, and you can change anything what you want, and still you don't take a lot of time in your iteration and put it back to the consumer. So based on your business, based on the kind of interactions of technology with your consumer, you need to decide what is more important for you, scalable and flexible, but you need to keep this in mind. The next one is the speed of development. Now, certain products need changes immediately. For example, let's say you are a trading app and trading rules changed. Usually we get a note, I mean, people get notice when rules are going to change. But I'm just saying some security vulnerability has come and all companies who are dealing with trading apps need to incorporate immediately. So this is the speed. You need to incorporate and then roll it out to your consumer, update the app or update the website and things like that. So based on what your end consumer is using technology for and what is your business purpose, you need to look at how fast can I incorporate these changes into my application. So that's what goes into speed of development. Going to the second aspect of speed of development, these are the various ways what you need to, or various areas you need to consider. What is the time to market? What is the iteration and improvement? What is the prototyping and testing speed? If you're incorporating a security vulnerability, trust me, you need to do a lot of testing. You need to do pen testing. You need to do a lot of other testing before you roll it out. So how fast can you get these things done? What are the tools and platforms are you using? For example, there is a radical change in law and you will need to incorporate, you're using some platform to develop your application, how fast that platform is incorporating. Otherwise, you will constantly have issues because the platform has not incorporated. So what are the tools and platforms are you using? What are your collaboration and your other agile methodologies? How are you using those tools? How fast can you communicate to your team? How fast can you communicate to your consumer to either download or upgrade or whatever it is? How fast are you doing it? So these things come into picture. What is the automation framework you are using in your organization for all these processes, for either development or for change management or for testing? Whatever you're using, they also need to adapt to this new technology what you're going to bring, or the new patch what you bring on to your top of your application, and you have to incorporate that into your application while testing or development or whatever it is. Open source and pre-built components. If you're using open source components, which are plugins, now you have to wait for them to upgrade it. Usually if it's a major one, everybody does it immediately. But when it comes to not so frequent changes, you need to ensure that you have a trusted plugin which you're using in your platform, which helps you incorporate that in much faster. Cloud computing and infrastructure. If there is a security patch which is being rolled out, for example, you keep seeing the news, Indian government wants this, US government wants this, companies to incorporate this change quickly. If you are on this version of the software, please upgrade to the new version immediately because we have seen a security flaw. And the organization which is developing apps and all the things for the platform have to be upgraded to work on the new version. So you have to keep in touch with what the platform and how fast they are incorporating it and how you have to incorporate. Certain times our methodologies might not map with what the platform is giving. So we need to identify how to get all these things in order. Coming back to long-term maintenance, there are a couple of factors what you need to look at when you are choosing technology. How easy, how tough will I get people to work on it? I'll give you a live instance. So today, if you want to get traditional C++, VC++ kind of developers, the very less number in the market, and they have a huge demand. So earlier, going back 20, 30 years, most of the applications are developed on C++ or VC++ or even, I mean, COBOL does not exist anymore. I mean, like it exists, but we're not using it as much. But those kind of platforms, if you're using, you need to manage your workforce because the technology is changing, the newer technology is coming, people are wanting to adopt to newer technologies. So you need to look at all these things. So let's look at the points what you need to consider when you look at the long-term maintenance of technology in your business. How fast can you do the bug fixes and corrections? Security updates, how fast can you roll out them into this thing? And that has, again, dependencies. If you're using third-party tools or if you're using plugins or whatever, how fast they're incorporating and how fast you're incorporating. Performance optimization. Again, this goes back to your third parties, whatever tools you're using or plugins you're using into your technology, how they are handling the performance optimization and how you have to need to manage your performance optimization. All these things come into picture. How fast can you upgrade your features? What is the compatibility management? How are you going to manage compatibility between two versions of the software? What is your data management and backup? So when should you take a backup, when you should retrieve the backup, and how are you going to use that? For example, few people might not upgrade to a latest version of their mobile software or a desktop software, and how do you manage the conflicts between the old one and the new one? End of life cycle management. For example, you are phasing out a feature from your product. How do you manage that? How do you let your customers go? If there are people who are using it, how do they adopt to the newer version and get rid of the old version? When do you stop giving the old version? All these things need to be taken care. Cost management, user support and training, compliance and legal. All these things come into the long-term maintenance. So before you choose technology, look, understand, and speak to people who give you a very generic view of the whole thing for you to decide which technology to use. Today, if you ask somebody, nobody predominantly suggests why don't you go with a C++ or a VC++ platform. We are talking about Java, Node.js. We have new technologies which have emerged and we are all basing on that. But they are not apt for a couple of businesses. I mean, if predominantly in the manufacturing, you want traditional standardized kind of tools you want to use. But if you're developing a web application or a mobile app, the technologies are different. And what is the longevity of the technology? How far will it go? How far will the support be? If you have to look at that, then one key factor what you can consider is how big is the community. For example, if you're using JavaScript or Node.js or these kind of programming languages, you have larger communities to support it. So when the community is large, there are chances that it'll run for a longer time because there are a lot of people who are dependent on that. So look at these kind of things before you decide, or speak to somebody who can help you understand or evaluate your situation and recommend and suggest the appropriate technologies for you to incorporate into your business. Security compliance becomes very important because these days it's all about how secure user data is, and one small mistake and one data leak from your servers, you are, even though you are the most amazing mobile app or the most amazing service you're providing, you get a hard hit. So you need to keep an eye on the security and compliance, predominantly because it's web and it's an open world. Anybody can start attacking, anybody can start doing anything. So how secure are you? How compliant are you to the technology? Again, going back to the example, certain times the government says there is a bug in this which is hitting a lot of users, so we immediately recommend you upgrade your software, and the platform provider needs to upgrade his software and then roll it out to the users and all these things. So keep an eye on the compliance part and the security part before you decide what technology do you want to use. Now, how to be lean when starting up. So concluding the first part, those are the most important aspects, the 6 aspects what you need to look at before incorporating technology into your startup. Now, when I talk, the next part is going to focus on how lean you should be, right? Should I get all the features on day one or all the tools on day one? And how do I, especially this is for people who are starting up, right? Traditional businesses which are manufacturing, or these kind of business, non-tech businesses, for them technology is always a cost. For example, we encounter this every day from a commercial real estate standpoint. Why should we use technology? It's a dead investment for us. What are the returns on it? But they will use the required technology to run their operations and not beyond that. But if you're a traditional business who wants to incorporate technology more into your thing, how lean can you be? And if you're a tech startup or a tech idea who want to do it, how lean can you be? How can you keep the cost low before you start building your platform to a big next level or the bigger scale? Let's look at a couple of points in this part of the masterclass. consider using open source. I highly recommend people who are starting up to please use open source platforms. There are a lot number available. There are a lot of open source ERPs available which you can use. I will show you in the next screen. Here are a couple of open source platforms which are available. I did the homework for you so that you can use this as a reference point. We at Applo use ERP Next to a very considerable level. So there are a lot of other open source platforms, but one consideration, please look and go to each platform, look at if they meet your requirements or not. So don't just choose a platform just because other person is using it, but explore the platform, look at for your idea and your product if it is working or not working. For example, certain things might not work for certain platforms, so don't go in that direction. So use the platforms which are predominantly solving your problem. Right? So here are the couple of open source platforms available today. You can use them. ERP Next is born out of India. They're doing amazing. If you want to consider be in India, develop for India, or whatever it is. So if you're that kind of personality, try considering ERP Next. They're amazing. And the best part of the open source platforms, most of them they don't tie you to a payment and for them to use it. Instead, you can deploy your code base, whatever you have customized, into your own server, and you can manage it. So these are the flexibilities they give. I would highly recommend you use the open source platform, especially when you're starting up, or if technology is only to support your business but not a main form of interaction for your consumer. So this keeps the costs very, very less, and it's not tough to customize. You have people on Freelancer and Upwork who know pretty much all of these open source platforms. You can engage with them, get it developed, and start running it. And if you have an issue, you can go back. It's not rocket science, and it's not very tough. So it makes your costs less and gives you the confidence that you can use the technology from day one itself. Developing your product. So when you are developing your product, especially people who are starting up will have a big question: should I recruit a team and everything? Let me tell you one thing: the leaner the team is, the less stressful it is for you, because you don't need to focus on salaries and you not focus on a lot of I need to take off compliance. All these aspects come into picture when you start employing people. Instead of that, keep it lean. If you have an idea, there are companies like 100 Days of MVP who actually help you. After you finish your ideation, you are very, very clear with your idea. You get to them. They'll charge you a bit of money, but they'll help you develop the product and bring it to market pretty quickly because they specialize in doing so. So like this, there are a lot of other companies which do that also. So look at those aspects before you start recruiting somebody to build a team. So my personal experience, how I have developed Applo over a period of time is initially it was on my own, then the team started coming in, then we are all together. That's how we built it, and it becomes more easier and more cost effective. Certain aspects of the platform we still don't have in-house capabilities, so we reach out to consultants to get that module developed, because we have a technical team inside. They know how to manage if there are any exceptions and things like that. So I would highly recommend use as much, keep your company as lean as possible before you get the confidence that yes, this idea works, and I will start bringing in the team together to start building it up. So that's what today. It's crisp, it's small, but I wanted to ensure that these are all aspects which are covered in this masterclass to ensure you have a clear idea before you begin of incorporating technology into your company or your startup. Hope this helped. If this helped, do subscribe if you have still not. And we have one more week for the program to conclude. I also offer personalized programs for each entrepreneur. We have a program called Entrepreneur Program, ENT Program, Studio Navaka.studio/ENT program. So you have all the details. I spent 6 weeks with the ideator or the CEO of the company to look at the product idea, walk them through the whole aspect. The 6 weeks, what I've done on YouTube will be more formal and personalized to your product or idea, I do this program. And also I have an upcoming webinar on product management and ideation management on 5th October. Do register. The webinar is going to be a little different. So it's a 90-minute webinar where I talk you through the whole thing. Then you have access to the Discord group for a week to clarify any questions or anything what you require as an outcome of the webinar. So I wanted to keep this different because predominantly when we say webinar, the interaction ends and it's one-way knowledge. And after that, you will have question again, you'll go back to doing your own research. So I want to change that trend and give you an as a avenue to keep the interaction going even after the webinar is completed. So that's coming up on 5th October. The link is below in the description. Please do register and take the benefits of the session what I'm going to take. All right. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week for the 5th week and the last week of the 5 weeks to start a program.